Greetings, what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The rain is pouring, and it literally hasn't stopped since the last time I was casting, and the magpie is casting. Coming at you guys right now with a live 1 vs 1 battle fresh from the top of the ladder, featuring spawning in the south. It's going to be the Overcommand West pieces of 101st Airborne. And spawning in the north, it's going to be the Soviet forces of McBain, who's gone ahead and chosen, let's see, Mechanized Support Tactics. So this is an ISU 152 commander, which plays well to the map. Langraskaya, of course, one of these maps where, if I crack the tack, if you spawn in the north, which this Soviet player has, keeping your ISU 152 pretty much anywhere along this line here is pretty devastating, because that means that it can just kind of rain intensely huge shells onto pretty much this whole area here. And you'll notice that this whole area here includes basically, well, it includes 2 of the victory points, and it's not actually that hard to move the ISU 152 to here. Take shots at this victory point here as well. Just makes life absolute hell for your south spawning Axis opponent. Langraskaya has always been one of the maps where, because it's quite, well, it's a very small map, and it has a very open central area, which is very dense with critical locations which need to be held. And so static units which lob out large shells, indirect fire artillery pieces, anything with good long range and hard hitting power is always going to excel on this map. And the IC 152 definitely conforms to those characteristics which I just listed. So yeah, we're gonna see an ISU 152 late game strat here from McBain if he's able to navigate the game and stay alive that long. 101st Airborne, let's see, he's rolling with Breakthrough Doctrine. Actually, been a moment since I've seen this commander picked. That guy in the middle, who I just know as the Goliath commander, and Luftwaffe Ground Forces Support Doctrine there on the right hand side. Who is this guy? It's Overwatch or something. Yeah, Overwatch Doctrine, yeah. Alright, Jaeger Light Infantry Recon, and he gets all of the other terrible things, and gets the Goliaths, which I do love. I think I've got a best hits of compilation Goliath video, a couple of years old now, but if you guys fancy watching some gribbly things that I inflicted to players on the ladder using Goliaths, you can check out my best of Goliaths hits video. You just give a search on the channel for like Goliath or something, you'll probably find it. Yeah, pretty savage unit. You can do some pretty dirty stuff with that one. I'm sure, I don't know, it could have been rebalanced, could have been changed. I definitely know that at the top tiers of play, these guys really do know what they're doing. So you're probably a lot less likely to catch one of these guys out with a Goliath trick. But anyway, looks like we've got a Special Rifle Company opening here, Special Rifle Command, I should say, opening here for McBain. He's going to be rocking and rolling with the M3 Scout car. Got some engineers loaded up in that, and I imagine we'll see a flamethrower appearing on that squad momentarily here to make for those drive-by flamings that we know and love from the Special Rifle Command opening here. Honestly, actually, this is a pretty damn good map for marksman as well, so I would say if he goes for a Soviet marksman, that could be pretty sick, actually. So, yeah, just because, I mean, a marksman can really police this whole area in the middle. Look at this. Look at this. This is a sniper's paradise. Just like loads and loads of open lines of sight, evenly spaced cover. It's never far for him to get between cover and become invisible once again. So, yeah, this definitely has always been an okay map for marksman as well. Looks like we're going to have a Schwervermax Schlepper coming out just now from 101st Airborne, so we'll know what his teching intentions are as this game moves on. Kind of hoping we're going to see a Battle Gripper opening, because I just find them a little bit more interesting at the moment. I mean, there's nothing wrong with mechanized opening, it's very good actually, but it is what we're very much used to seeing, and so I would quite like to see a Battle Gripper opening here. This is a map where I could see an early light gun would be able to flourish, again because it's quite small. You can keep your light gun in quite a relatively safe position, but still have it firing for most of the game. Potential, ooh, these Grenadiers getting a bit low here. That's a squad wipe. That is a squad wipe. That's quite unlucky. There was a narrow window for a squad wipe there, but it is inflicted. And as I always say, anytime you inflict a core infantry squad wipe at the sub 5-minute mark in the game, then the entire game takes on a certain tenor. And for the Axis player, it is going to be a very uphill battle now. He's just crucially lost a squad. And yeah, these games always feel really tough when you lose a squad that early. You are just the underdog for like the next 10 minutes, it feels like. So, we'll see. 101st Airborne might be able to equalise the score, inflict some sort of squad wipe on his opponent at some point. in the next few minutes. And if he is, then, you know, maybe this will be a bit of an even game. But for now, let's crack the tack. You can see more of the map is red than blue. The Soviet forces chewing up ground, accessing the west of the map without opposition. All Axis units presently forced back to the base, so pretty much no map control being demonstrated. It is a Battle Gripper HQ opening. Whoa! Yeah, love it when I get what I want as a caster. Pardon me. So, yeah, definitely an interesting game already here. Luftwaffe Ground Forces Support Doctrine, who... Actually, I'm pretty sure this commander does not have the word support in his title. Yeah, I don't know why I always throw support. Luftwaffe Ground Forces Support Doctrine, because he just doesn't have enough syllables already. I don't know, whatever. So, yeah, going to be the pick here. This, of course, is a solid, a stable hand on the tiller, this commander. Gives you a lot of great stuff, relevant throughout almost all phases of the game. You know, Fallschirmjäger are pretty pokey. Whoa, these conscripts need to GTFO, and they will. They're going to have to fall back past these grenadiers here, so a shade risky, but they're going to be fine, actually. Clown car still clowning dudes. Storm Pioneer's going to get up in here. Oh, okay, that's going to be a squad wipe on some conscripts. There we go. All right, 101st Airborne right back in it. Okay, this is what we needed. Faust's going to come down onto the clown car, so that one is stricken for now. Engineers get into this building. They're going to start Flammenwerfing some dudes. We've got guard squad on the map now, so we've got PTRSs on the relatively elite infantry there. Secondary Faust going to come down, and that will be the KO blow on this. Whoa, you're going to lose this engineer as well. Okay, there was one rifle shot there which could have resulted in a squad wipe, I believe, but not rolling a hit on that one, so McBain going to get away with it for now, but I worry for him now. Having lost a squad of conscripts and a clown car, his roster does look a little bit small. One squad of guards, 2 squads conscripts, and some engineers who are just reinforcing is not very much, actually, when your opponent has... That's a... you don't want to... Okay, then. Gonna eat an incendiary grenade, but yeah, this Soviet roster up here, not really up to a lot when your opponent... Pardon me, has Fallschirmjäger, 3 squads Volks, 1 squad Storm Pioneer, so... Luckily for now, though, the Soviet player does still have map domination. Brave Fallschirmjäger going to be poking through to deny the enemy fuel point, which actually means that McBain, for all his map domination, doesn't actually have double fuel connected. Also finds himself behind in the scoreline, actually. So this game kind of coming together pretty well for 101st Airborne here. Loving what I'm seeing. Fallschirmjäger's at this range. The FG-42 gonna just destroy this. I read the other day, somebody posted some stupid GIF on like Reddit or something, and it was roses are red, violets are blue, Fallschirmjäger, FG-42, and I was just like, that's stupid, but it made me smile. Guards get up into this nice forward position. I believe I can hear the DP LMGs are chunking away out of that unit. Am I right? Yeah, I can hear them. I can hear the DPs. Yeah, DP's chunking away out of that one. Gonna be putting some damage onto this Axis infantry, keeping it back. McBain, what are you spending all your manpower on, son? Okay, so he's gonna be going for the Tank of E Battalion Command. He's just, this is precarious play. Gonna be going for the Tank of E Battalion Command before going for another infantry squad. I do worry for him, but I mean, he is being active on the map. These guards are buying him a lot of time. I don't know, it's dangerous times right now. This is a really good commander, actually, isn't it? I'm looking at these abilities. The Camo Zis guns is kind of like occasionally excellent, but mostly irrelevant. Guards are great. Mark Vehicle is great. The IL-2 Precision Bombing Strike is really nice to have and occasionally great. And the ISU-152, in the games in which it appears, is usually great. So, yeah, really interesting commander, and definitely a really good one for the smaller maps. Oh no, he's lost another squad somewhere. Man, what? Oh, I was just putting my hoodie on. Oh my goodness, he's lost some conscripts. I believe they got wiped out by Fallschirmjägers over here somewhere. Or something, probably. Well, this game is actually looking super dire for McBain now, who got off to a fantastic start, to be honest. I'm a little bit surprised to see him in this situation. Kettenwerfer is going to be getting added onto the roster with precise timing. Going to be coming out just in time to meet this pretty much desperation T-70. I don't know, man. I think sometimes you have to recognize that you're quite far behind in a game, and T-70s are great when you're kind of ahead or at parity, but when you're this far behind, the T-70 is very easy to answer, and unless you have enough supporting units to bat away the Kettenwerfer, the T-70 is going to be hard-pressed to find any openings. And so I also think as the Soviet player, we can't just be moving out with solo squads like this. This is just never going to work because your Axis opponent just has way more better units. So I think that you have to decide to yourself, what area of the map do I want to secure? Where do I think my opponent is not? And like send out, group up like at least 2 of these units together and send them out together, and then maybe send out 1 unit on the flank or something. I don't know. So the T-70 is just going to cop a Faust immediately. Bro, you have to micro these things. So that's pretty tough. Where's the Kettenwerfer? Okay, so the Kettenwerfer is not actively in a position where it can take advantage of this injured T-70, so that's okay. These Volksgrenadiers getting turbo low, actually. A little bit scary there. Okay, another squad of guards comes onto the field. This much needed meat to the Soviet table here. These guys are really just essential. DP LMGs coming up immediately, and if McBain is able to babysit these guards and not lose them, then he could stabilize here. His army is beginning to look acceptable. If he can mount a push with the 2 guards and the T-70, that will be quite hard for this Axis roster to deal with. I mean, not impossible by any means, but it represents, at least he has some force on the map now. So, what are these dudes doing? Are they building mines? Yep, so we've got some mines coming down. A bit of an awkward position there, to be fair, but not the best place on that command point. But anyway, T-70 refreshed, ready for action here, going to come on in. Kettenwerfer catches it, a shot in the flank there. Guards infantry going to try and deal with these Fallschirmjäger, and that they actually appear to be trading quite well with. After that, they could try and come forwards and just toss a frag grenade through the hedge onto this Kettenwerfer. He's stacking a few munitions. That wouldn't be the end of the world. But how much is the 25? 30 for the RGD-33 frag grenade. Okay. These Fallschirmjägers, I'm kind of so amazed that... Okay, he decides just not take the end of that trade. I think the guards were sort of winning that one. Probably could force the Fallschirmjäger back. Ah, they have to fall back anyway. It's fine. So, yeah, the Kettenwerfer comes across, finds the T-70, which declines to move out of danger, so that'll just be a dead T-70 then. Oh my god, he gets a free shot. Are you for real? I mean, that absolutely should have been a dead T-70, but this shot actually managed to hit the command post. So, getting so lucky. This T-70 really ought to be dead. Additional Fallschirmjäger is going to be deployed to the field, landing in around about here. And this Axis roster just get looking scarier and scarier, more and more the scary. Schwerpanzer HQ is finished, Panzer authorization has finished, so the fuel total you see ticking up here represents the bank available to spend on whatever Schwerpanzer armor the 101st Airborne wants, and I feel like at this point any of the choices would be good. Panzer IV, probably going to be horrendously scary. Jagdpanzer, probably going to vet up and dominate the middle of the map as this game goes on. Panther, probably just going to be horrendously scary. So yeah, he could really save for any of them, and I'd be fine. I don't think there's a wrong choice right now from this unit. A certain part of me just says, hey, go for the Panzer IV because it's the cheapest and most muscly choice that you can throw out here to take advantage of your Soviet opponent, who has, to be fair, had a super rough early game. So yeah, I don't know. But then again, I'm Magpie, so I sort of think the Jagdpanzer would be the sickest choice, because unless you feel like you can win in the next 10 minutes, the Jagdpanzer is just going to make all Allied armor operations in the middle of the map really tough. And also, if 101st Airborne was paying attention, right, and he knows by seeing guards that it's the ISU-152 Mechanized Support Tactics commander, then going for the Jagdpanzer is actually a super sweet choice, isn't it? Because the Jagdpanzer will firmly answer the ISU-152 later on in the game. The ISU-152's armor is good, but if that Jagdpanzer has just a couple of stars of veterancy, or even just with none, you know, like, it will definitely control the ISU-152, so... There's a T-70 on the field for the Jagdi to be shooting now, just snack up a little bit of veterancy. I don't know, I'm probably making a case for a horrendously bad choice here, but I just love me a Jagdpanzer. Can't help it. Maybe it's genetic, who knows. Supply lines have been cut. Flak HQ going to announce itself here, shelling these guards who really ought to GTFO. Probably not much to be gained from sticking around here. Actually, no, they managed to escape its suppressive arc and scramble into this building here. T-70 is repaired, ready, in support. Where's the Kettenwerfer right now? It's in the right area of the map, but this building here probably going to screen line of sight. Incendiary Grenade going to come down, forces the guards out of there. These guards are staying alive, 2 stars, 1 star of veterancy over those squads. Whoa, T-70 getting brave. You can't take this fight. What the hell is this T-70 doing? And you have to fall back here as well. You don't want to be losing these guard squads. Honestly, if the Soviet player sustains like 1 more squad loss, this game is just super over. So he's playing on thin ice right now. Even just staying around with grenadiers, with engineers like this is like risky. Okay, the mine comes down and is able to buy enough time for the Flammenwerfer to get some damage done. Okay, but now you have to fall back. This is 3 Volksgrenadiers at this range. Really? Are we staying? I don't know about this. He stays for so much damage. It's just risky, that's all. You're staying to kill 1 or 2 more Volks models at the cost of possibly losing your squad on the fallback, man. If these Fallschirmjägers had just run to the west, then there definitely could have been shots on for a squad wipe here. That's the kind of stuff that would break this player. Okay, 3rd squad of guards on the field now. DPLMGs coming up on there. So, again, if he's able to keep all of these squads alive and keep them vetting up, Guards infantry are very good. Oh, this Kettenwerfer sees your T-70, bro. Okay, yeah, he sees that. He's going to get it out of there. And now the scoreline differential opening up. 322, 426. The Axis player has 140 fuel, so we could see Panzer IV if that's going to be the choice soon. He doesn't really have the manpower. Okay, sorry, he does have the manpower because he's going to buy the Panzer IV. There we go. So yeah, it's going to be a Panzer IV. I don't know about the Panzer IV, to be honest, actually. I'm going to... Now that there's 3 squads of guards on the field, that's a lot of PTRSs. That is 6 PTRSs. That is actually enough to irritate a guards... a Panzer IV. And he could buy PTRSs on the Penal Battalion, and that... I feel like that's probably enough PTRSs where your Panzer IV is not going to be super efficient, because there's no medium armor target for this Panzer IV to be hunting. There's just a T-70, which isn't going to feed that much veterancy or represent that much value, even if the Panzer IV is able to catch it and kill it. So, I mean, I feel like the T-70 at this point is the Soviet player's most expendable unit. It's the unit which will make the least difference if it dies. I'm sort of a bit still unsure as to why he built this T-70. It just hasn't been great, really. Yeah, I feel like this Panzer IV... I don't know, it's going to have a hard time here. Alright, well, we're gonna see how this pans out. These penals are gonna get shredded at this range. That's a lot of FG-42 toting Fallschirmjägers. Looks like the Guards infantry are going to be shoving out here in the sort of eastern section of the map. Panzer IV announces its presence, so McBain knows what the choice will be now. PTRS is here. Now we're going to start seeing the PTRSs just start dinking down this Panzer IV. And that also, by the way, feeds so much veterancy onto the Guards. Nothing quite like PTRSing a Panzer IV to feed veterancy onto your Guard squad. Look at the veterancy bar. Watch when they fire those PTRSs. Ding! Okay, has to fall them back now. I mean, you're never going to put together a kill on this Panzer IV unless your opponent does something dramatically stupid with this roster, but, I mean, that is just still enough PTRS. Okay, so how much fuel is an ISU-152? 260 and 680 manpower. I ask because we're getting towards the time in the game now, 14 command points, where McBain could actually start thinking about clicking on that button. And let me just check, does he have the tech? He does have the tech. Okay, so literally this fuel ticker here, I mean, let's say he's getting, so it's going to take him about 3 or 4 minutes at the current rate of fuel income. If he's able to get a little bit more income, then that obviously, that ISU-152 will arrive sooner. So we're looking for an ISU-152 probably around about the 23, 24, 25 minute mark, I would say. That's a very wide window, but it's hard to tell. So if he can just hold on, whoa, that was a huge demo charge. That was the managed to attach it onto the Panzer IV demo charge. Epic. Alright, well, he breaks the engine. This is an interesting fight. Whoa, but then he just decides to pursue into the flat gun and a ton of Axis squads. You can't be doing that. T-70 just creeping in from the flank here. Where's the Kettenwerfer? It is actually in position, so T-70 has to GTFO there. But yeah, nice, actually. Able to shove the Axis player around for the first time in this game, it feels there. So that's quite nice. These engineers can't overstay their welcome, though. I appreciate that they're flaming a Kettenwerfer, but that just won't be enough. Yeah, these guard squads are vetting up. They're looking okay. He has enough manpower where he could grab, like, another interesting squad. Does he have... Alright, at this point I feel like the tech cost of back-teching to support weapon Campanile is negligible, and I feel like Maxims are super worth it now. Your opponent has Fallschirmjägers and loads of other scary infantry, and also this is Langres Square. Having a Maxim or two in mid is like game-changing, so yeah, I sort of think that you probably want to get a couple of Maxims. Also, your opponent has not demonstrated any willingness to purchase any indirect fire options. We've got no light guns, no nothing like that, so Maxim guns, absolutely fine right now, I reckon. I would love to see him get a brace of Maxim guns. That means 2 for non-native English speakers who might not know. T-70 makes it to 3 stars of veterancy, cops a Faust off some Fallschirmjägers. Kettenwerfer's going to creep forwards and try and find it, but it will be lucky too. The T-70 is going to scurry on out of here. Where's the Panzer IV right now? It is repaired. It's over in west right now. Axis forces pushing up, looking to establish the triple cap. 250 for the Soviet player McBain under the 414 of 101st Airborne. Looking pretty dire, so this triple cap is going to be super bad right now for the Soviet player, who is up at nearly 220 fuel. Needs about another 2 minutes of saving at his current horrendous fuel income rate. Also needs to somehow put together the manpower for that ISU 152. But it's fair to say that right now the Axis player doesn't actually have the tools that he needs to go for that. Sorry, to counter the ISU 152. So, but then again, he also has like quite a large bank, so probably going to be fine to afford it when the time is right. Kettenwerfer again finds this T-70. This T-70 is somehow making it to Vet 3 in this game. Remember, it should have died earlier. There was definitely a Kettenwerfer shot that would have killed it had it not hit an intervening command point. This T-70 is getting value, actually, calling out the Kettenwerfer. Panzer IV chewing through guard squads. Soviet player definitely under the triple cap now, 216 and ticking fast here. Engineers desperately want to grab this Kettenwerfer, but they will die for it. Oh god. Oh well, that was not worth it. Yikes. The T-70 chipping in a shot into the Panzer IV's rear armor. Are we for real? Get this T-70 out of here. Stop kidding around. Stop kidding around with this T-70. He got another penetrating hit. That's stupid. Oh no, these guards, you have to fall them back, they're going to get killed. Oh, Panzer IVs will take, oh my god, Panzer IV rolled a miss there, that's so lucky. These engineers also want to die for a Kettenwerfer. Alright then boys, alright, you're never going to pick up a Kettenwerfer with this much stuff standing right here. Are we really taking this fight? What am I seeing here? The Soviet player has no business being here, he's going to lose his Panzer III, sorry, he's going to lose his T-70. No he's not, this T-70 is blessed by the gods. Now he's going to lose it. There we go. Oh, dearie me. What a mess. Well, that will be that. Some questionable decisions there by our Soviet player. I mean, he got off to a really good start. That was a game where he managed to wipe out a unit of Volksgrenadiers at the sub 5 minute mark. You know, that's like, eesh. For the Axis player, but he then just threw his lead like pretty badly in a number of ways, and yeah, never really able to feel like he was convincingly in that game. There was a moment where he got a demo charge onto a Panzer IV and was able to shove the Axis player back a little bit, but I mean, not really finding the sort of hits or anything that he genuinely needed to get back in the game. So yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Looks like we've got a game here between Pappy O'Daniels and PanzerGrenadierAngreifen. So we're going to go and check this one out. Yes, I know, it's a little bit confusing actually, because when you're in English, when you have the E before the I like this, it would be Angreifen. But in German, it's the other way around. So this is, in German, this would be PanzerGrenadierAngreifen. So it just changes the vowel sound in the middle here when you're dealing with a different language. So yeah, it is Angreifen is the correct way to say it, but I often don't. I don't know why. So let's have a look at here. Spawning in the west, playing as the Overcommand West pieces, it's going to be Pappy O'Daniels, who has featured on the channel recently with some pretty stellar vehicle play. He seems to have this killer instinct where he just knows when he can dart in. Actually, it was against USF as well. When he knows that he can dart in and just pick off soft targets that the USF has behind the line. 3/4-ton ambulances, mortar half-tracks, just all kinds of soft targets. He was just taking really, really well-advised, well-timed, well-executed, well-microed dives to pick off these targets using his Ostwind and using his Panzer IV. So yeah, he was just put together a sick game recently on the channel. It does stick in my mind because it just was a really just super well cobbled together game. His Panzer IV in particular as well, just finding a line where it could dart behind the USF lines, pick off a load of targets, sow a load of havoc, kill a Sherman, and then dart back out and be intact. Like, it was just crazy. It was really nice plays, demonstrating great killer instinct and game sense. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what Pappy Daniels can bring in this game. He's going to need to bring his A game though, because his opponent here, spawning in the east, playing as the American forces, is going to be PanzerGrenadierAngreifen, who is just a ferocious monster who's been on the scene for a very long time and whose games I have always liked to watch. I imagine these two players are getting ready for the games. Or might be. I don't know if these guys are still in the tournament, actually. It is Saturday. The World Championship Series is on at the moment. I don't think that this is a World Championship Series game, or World Championship, I should say. It's not a series. But I don't think this is a World Championship game. So, but they're probably warming up for games later on. Because I'm casting early on in the day. I don't think the actual tournament games start for a bit. So, yes. Yes. So let's have a look at here. We've got Kubel opening coming out from Pappy Daniels. We've got Heavy Cav Company coming out from Angreifen here. Pappy Daniels going to be rolling with Breakthrough Doctrine, Scavenge Doctrine, and Luftwaffe Ground Forces Doctrine. 3 fantastic choices. For my money, I've never really particularly gelled with Breakthrough Doctrine, I've got to be honest. Storm Officer seems a bit meh. And the Assault Artillery... I just like to be able to click on a sector and have the artillery go where I click, and assault artillery doesn't quite work that way. It's a little bit different. It puts down a load of smoke, which seems to 50-50 whether it benefits you or your opponent, the smoke that the artillery puts down. It's like, so, yeah. And, I mean, the Jagdtiger, yeah, it does what it does very well. But, you know, OKW have access to the King Tiger anyway, and, like, that's fine. So, I don't know. Yeah, the Jagdtigers are good, but it's just not for me, I suppose. Weirdly enough, because I suppose it is a tank destroyer, and I do love those things. But, I mean, you already get the Jagdpanzer, and it costs way less, and you don't need to pick a commander for it. So, yeah, these days, I used to keep the Breakthrough Doctrine on my roster sometimes, just for having access to Panzer Fusiliers. But these days, with the Grand Offensive Doctrine, you can get Panzer Fusiliers there in a commander with abilities that I prefer a lot. So I tend to just prefer that commander. But anyway, Pappy Daniels going to be rocking with Breakthrough Doctrine here. And that's fine. A lot of riflemen getting up close and personal on this building. Angreifen will be forced... Sorry. Pappy Daniels will be forced to fall these guys back. I'm so used to seeing Angreifen play as the Axis forces. And his name is even PanzerGrenadierAngreifen, which sounds as Axis as it gets. But that is obviously not... He's playing as USF today. Lieutenant Tech going to be the tech here for Angreifen. So far, so standard. 3 riflemen, lieutenant. A lot of scuffles going on here. A lot of infantry squads exchanging fire. And so far, it doesn't look like any player in particular danger of losing any units. This Kubelwagen is quite low, where it could just die from a couple more rifle hits. He probably needs to get this one back to the Storm Pioneers and repair it. There we go, he's going to do it now. So there we go, yeah. Kubelwagens, if you do level them up, if you do vet them up, they can be super useful in the late game. They're fast, they capture fast, and they become a bit more durable, and they can even kite infantry squads, like, effectively, like, whittling down their health later on. Alright, so Kubelwagen gets semi-repaired. Going to be forced to play it a little bit cautious here. Lieutenant has researched his Zook, so he's upgraded that one. 50 munitions spent. So he's going to be able to hunt the Kubel to some extent now. Might get a shot here. Nope. And it's going to be a utility car, so this absolutely standard. This is the meta build right now. This is what we're seeing USF players do. Statistically, I would say the most number of times. It's like 3 rifles into Lieutenant, into utility car, so... And then usually into Stuart as well. Storm Pioneer is going to get the jump on a Lieutenant squad here. Trading for damage, forcing the American officer back is quite nice. A massive American blob, some 14 riflemen, going to be very angry and looking for revenge here. The Storm Pioneers, if they get caught out here, that is a lot of damage. They will fall back. And I believe that will be in time to get out safely. So, yeah, Pappy O'Daniels paying attention. Snappy decision-making, awareness. Pretty much what we're used to seeing from him, or at least what I'm used to seeing from him. Based on the strength of only, like, one game, now I think about it. Like, I don't think I've cast him many times. Utility car and a load of riflemen, and Griffin really blobbing around with his riflemen. But yeah, gonna displace another Axis squad here. Looks like it's gonna be a Panzer II Strat mechanized regiment opening from Pappy O'Daniels. So we'll see the German light tank here on the field momentarily. And that, of course, will be good against pretty much everything here except for the Stuart, which will be coming. So these two, this is the standard builds for these factions as far as I've seen. The Kugelwagen is optional. That is not super standard. That is optional. But it's like a bolt-on for the standard build, where it's like Volksgrenadiers into Mechanized Reg into Panzer II. And it's almost a shame that this Panzer II is going to finish, because if he'd have seen the Stuart coming, I'm sure he would have built a Puma. It's not too late, of course, to go for a Puma. You can go for a Puma after the Panzer II, but it doesn't feel great. That represents delaying your endgame tech, like, considerably if you're going for a Panzer II and a Puma. And you know what? The Panzer II supported by a Puma is still very useful. His Panzer II comes out here, immediately forces some riflemen back. STGs appearing on these Volk squads now, upping their DPS at short ranges considerably. Gonna see a smoke barrage come down here to cover the retreat of these riflemen. Possibly a bit of an overreaction. I really don't think this Panzer II was in any real danger of overrunning for much damage. And there's a Stuart coming to save these guys, so that could have been a waste of 50 munitions, I'm not sure. Here comes the Stuart. Immediately going to dominate this Panzer II. Not really much that can be done here, and the utility car going to come in for the block. This is so annoying, and it gets it. Oh no, this could well be a dead Panzer II. Remember, the utility car crew can jump out and hoon in with a Zook shot. Oh wow, the Panzer II actually using this tiny little hedge here to block line of sight on the Stuart. Wow, Pappy O'Daniels, just exactly what I said, man. His vehicle micro is sick. No, he gets the utility car. What the hell? He gets the utility car and then gets away with the Panzer II? No. Pappy O'Daniels, you monster. I love it. And the crew didn't even jump out of the utility car, which surprises me a lot because, you know, they've got a Zook on them. They would have been a useful unit to have around. The Kugelwagen has gone down. I think, like, the Stuart just, like, chipped it off with a stray shell or something. But that's okay. I mean, the Kugelwagen's lot in life is to die early. That's kind of what happens to them. Some Volksgrenadiers on a quest to slap a Faust onto a retreating Stuart. And this squad will find. Donk, there it is. So the Stuart now stricken on the field. Kettenwerfer is here, but it's a long way away, so it's not going to be here in time to cobble together a kill on the Stuart. The Stuart here kiting. These Volks actually angrily waiting for the cooldown on their Faust. Pappy O'Daniels doesn't quite have enough munitions to Faust this one down, though. So he's going to get one more Faust. If he had, like, enough munitions, he could have got another Faust, and then that would have been it. But actually, he just doesn't quite have the munitions, which is a shame. Panzer II is not been repaired, but bravely going to be taking the field anyway. Forces the lieutenant away. Wants to access the Stuart, perhaps, for a kill? That seems so risky. The vehicle crew get out and start trying to repair. The Panzer II comes diving in, looking for this kill. I think this could be a dead Panzer II now, though, because the vehicle crew can just jump back in and fire the gun. I mean, he's got just enough health on this Panzer II to sustain one hit from the Stuart. Hang on a second. He forces the vehicle crew away. Is this for real? Okay, so the riflemen get inside the Stuart. What a crazy little exchange that was, but it looks like both players are going to limp away with their respective light vehicles. So now the Kettenwerfer is in position, so going to start capping a point and just kind of make its presence felt on the field. This has been, of course, a fantastic start to the game for PanzerGrenadier. Sorry, for Pappy O'Daniels, who finds himself leading by a good 100 tickets in these early stages of the game. Testament to his skill out in the field. He's going to get a Puma. I really like it. I think if you're as good at vehicle micro as Pappy O'Daniels appears to be, then going for a Puma could be super sweet. Puma is, of course, one of the faster, lighter. It does pack a punch, but it is quite skill intensive. If you fuck up with a Puma, then it's going to explode and die like in no time. And it costs 70 fuel, so you'd really rather not lose it. It is 70, right? Yeah. So it is not inconsequentially cheap. It does represent quite a commitment. it's delaying his tech like quite a lot, and it's half the price of a Panzer IV. So yeah, you can't just be throwing them away. But if you look after them, they do sort of take on tank destroyer-esque qualities. Once a Puma gets to like 2 stars, 3 stars, or even 4 stars, its lethality and its DPS against enemy vehicles ramps up like so noticeably. So yeah, the Puma just quite a weird game. There is really no other unit in the game like the Puma, except of course the other unit that's in the game like the Puma, the AEC. But even the AEC doesn't really. It's a similar class of vehicle, and you use them in similar ways. But the Puma definitely feels very different. Okay, alright, rear esh with 2 Zooks, indicating that weapon rack research has finished. You can also see BARs popping up on some of these rifleman squads now. Going to force this Panzer II back for now. He's taking a very... I suppose he's got this Volk squad here providing vision, so he knows that this is a safe retreat path. I was going to say, I was a little bit worried for a second there. Looks like Pappy O'Daniel's going to be pushing forwards here. Chooses Doctrine. Looks like it's Luftwaffe ground forces. To that end, we've got Fallschirmjägers coming on down, and... kind of taking advantage of this American smoke here. Going to be grabbing a cut-off here. Not that there's anything to cut off, but this is still just nice to have. 50 cal going to be added onto the roster for the American player, so this is one of those maps where machine guns in and around the middle of the map dictates the flow of the mid-game, and so looks like PanzerGrenadierAngreifen, respecting that, going to be buying a 50 cal, and that will help him out here. And goodness knows, he needs some help in this game. 497 right now for Pappy O'Daniels over the 287 of PanzerGrenadierAngreifen at the 12-minute mark in this game. That's a pretty scary scoreline differential. That represents a lot of work that Angreifen has to get done. It also means that he's going to be forced to take some pretty gnarly fights as this game goes on. But you know what? That's probably okay. He does have a really healthy American roster. The Stuart is still intact. He's got good infantry. The equipment and veterancy is developing nicely. He takes a sick fight against these from Fallschirmjäger as well. Going to get up on top of them with the BAR toting rifleman. So an interesting fight being taken here. Both players committing their light vehicles and some infantry squads. Looks like for now, Angreifen able to get forward to access the middle VP. He's grabbed the southern VP, so this will put him off the clock here momentarily. There we go. There we go. Some much needed oxygen there for Angreifen. And he even gets the Panzer II, actually. Really nice. The Stuart going to finally pick up the kill on that one. That Panzer II, to be frank, punching above its weight in a game where his opponent had a lieutenant and a rear esh squad and a utility car and a Stuart. You know, that Panzer II did actually live for quite a long time. You know what? Hang on a second. Am I imagining things? Okay, so I think he cancelled the Puma, right? I haven't missed the Puma dying, have I? Yeah, I think he cancelled the Puma and threw down the Schwerpanzer HQ in this position. So now he has 85 fuel floating with Panzer Authority completed, meaning that he's definitely going to be saving for Panzer IV, Jagd or Panther, I would imagine. I mean, well, those are the choices of this building. He's probably not going to wait all the way to King Tiger. Procasting tip, you can't be wrong if you describe all the possibilities as possibilities. But yeah, okay, so you're Pappy O'Daniels in this game, you've got 95 fuel, you're saving, you're under this sort of situation against this kind of American roster. What do you go for out of your Schwerpanzer HQ? This is a map where a Jagd could be good, it can develop into the late game, it can counter your opponent really well. If you figured out that you're up against heavy cav, which you must have done because you've seen the smoke pots, then you know that it's going to be a Pershing late game. So, in fact, you know that the Pershing is probably going to be here quite soon. So, I think you save for Panther? I feel like a Panther is a good answer for a Pershing. I feel like the Jagd may not be enough. The Pershing is quite fast and it does hit quite hard, and with no veterancy, a Jagd is a big ask to take out a Pershing. So, I don't know, but the Jagd is also cost effective. How much unit cap is a Jagd these days? Jagd, 15. My, like, stupid tank destroyer addicted brain is saying, like, what if he gets 2 Jagds? And I was like, okay. how much unit cap is that? But yeah, it's probably not going to be the solution here anytime soon. How much fuel is a Yagdi? It's been so long since I've tried. 135. So it is still the cheapest fuel, the fuel cheapest option. I mean, he could go for a Panzer IV, but that will just get pushed around. I've got massive faith in Pappy O'Daniel's vehicle, and particularly Panzer IV Micro, but beating a Pershing with this kind of support roster with a Panzer IV is just a monumental ask. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
The enemy has cut our supply chain. The resource sector has been isolated.
Fallschirmjäger's doing their best on the field, but actually it looks like Pappy O'Daniel's kind of having a hard time right now. Let's crack the tack and you can see the story. American forces have taken the midline of the map. They have access to all of the VPs right now. The roster looks really scary. Good amounts of veterancy, BARs all over the place, Zooks all over the place. There's a 50 cal down here in south, which if it gets set up in a nice position, can definitely cover these Volksgrenadiers. There's another 50 cal moving out onto the map right now, which could get Overwatch on the middle VP to deny Axis access. And so... yeah, Pappy O'Daniel's with no MG34s in his roster, getting just shoved around right now by American infantry. The Stuart, of course, still being prolific, and because this map is one of the bigger maps, that Raketenwerfer, I mean, this ain't Langriskai, it's going to be a Panzer IV. This ain't Langriskai, that Raketenwerfer can't be everywhere at once. And so, the Stuart actually just, like, really not having any scary encounters with a Raketenwerfer whatsoever as this game has gone on, really. So, yeah, the Stuart is just going to flourish and develop at the moment. Panzer IV going to come out, but this is a Panzer IV that's coming out into a probable Pershing. So, I believe he's just spent the fuel on Major Tech, yeah. So, Major Tech is actually on the way now, and that will enable then the Pershing call-in. So where are these machine guns? Actually, they're both in south. This seems like a bit of a mistake. You don't need two machine guns overwatching this area. It's much better to have one machine gun per victory point. So not quite sure what Angreifen is doing with this 50 cal distribution, but we'll see. Maybe he knows something I don't. He probably knows a lot I don't. Somehow Pappy O'Daniel's is going to get in on the map and grab mid, so that's going to substantially help. He's still under the clock, but now bleeding slowly. 408 over 246, though. He still has a substantial and luxurious scoreline advantage. Panzer IV here going to make its presence felt, going to immediately start chewing into exposed riflemen here in the north of the map. Not much here in the way of support. I imagine we'll see the MG42 Pintle mount upgrade coming up on that, but Pappy O'Daniel's for now kind of gasping for munitions a little bit. Lieutenant gets up into a building here and starts putting some Zook rounds into the flank of the Panzer IV. Major is on the field, him also with a Zook. Two Zooks on these rear Esh means that this Panzer IV... Now, this is kind of what I was afraid of. Like, this Panzer IV is having a hard time before the Pershing is out. So I feel like once the Pershing is out, this Panzer IV just represents a massive veterancy sort of sponge for the Pershing to sort of drain. Pardon me. Alright, so Airborne Assault is now available, but there is no manpower for this. Sorry, no munitions for this. Somehow, Axis forces claim south. I don't know what happened to the 250 cals. They clearly got forced back to base somewhere. And Axis forces actually establishing the triple cap again? I don't really understand how this has happened. I mean, Fallschirmjägers are really good. And the FG42 upgrades have finished. Alright. Okay. I really think Angreifen should split these 50 cals, so I'm hoping that's what he's going to do. But he seems to be sending them both to south again. This Fallschirmjäger so low. Okay, he gets out. This lieutenant should have been a 50 cal. You need like a 50 cal lurking around here. Like, put some sandbags here, get a 50 cal overwatching this VP. Like, that's the way. I've seen it done before by players who know what who know what they're doing. That's how I know. So, all right, we're 10 fuel away from Pershing. The manpower is lining up nicely here, so I imagine we'll have Pershing here in just a few seconds.
One of our fighting positions is sustaining fire.
Pappy O'Daniels, this is what I mean by his killer instincts. He just knows. He just knows when he can come in and look for a 3/4 ton ambulance. Now this is risky. If the Stuart gets on top of this Panzer IV and gets one of its annoying disabling shots, then the Pershing can just come onto the field, and then we might have a Panzer IV that's in real jeopardy. So, okay, it looks like he's actually just going to sneak away. Yeah, Pappy O'Daniels, he just knows. He's like, I reckon there's a window here where I can just come in with a Panzer IV into your base. And it's just like, what? It just looks and feels so weird. Even the American player, you can see Angreifen was just like, what? Now, Angreifen in this instance did juke his ambulance down to the south, protecting its life. So you know, it's fine. Here comes the Pershing. Axis force is going to grab mid. That is going to put Angreifen under the clock again. 50 cal garrisoning mid. Where's the other 50 cal? Back at base. Please, for the love of God, send this one to mid. You need to split these 50 cals. American force is going to grab north. Alright, so Pappy O'Daniels actually has enough money for a Yagdi now. And if you have a Panzer IV, then a Yagdi sort of tag teams in really nice with that. So I would like him to get for a Yagdi now, because I'm Magpie and I love tank destroyers. Hey, Panzer IV coming in from a sick angle here. Gets the opening shot in this... What the Jesus! Pershings do a lot of damage, don't they? Holy sh... You see how much damage that Pershing shot did to a Panzer IV? That's so scary. Kettenwerfer here getting under duress. Lieutenant's going to be pushing up. Stuart as well, policing infantry here in mid. 1MG is ready to be attacking in south. Probably wants to come forward with that one. Maybe he's waiting for some supporting infantry. These Volksgrenadiers, yeah, I was going to say they need to fall back, but they didn't quite get there in time. And the Pershing here doing Pershing things, evaporating those Volksgrenadiers. Look how good the Pershing actually is. Quite menacing against infantry, isn't it? I'm always surprised because I think of it slightly more as a kind of an anti-armor based unit, the Pershing. Pardon me. But it is just a brawling heavy medium tank, isn't it? It's just, it wants to brawl anytime. What? Second Panzer IV is not the choice I thought I'd see. But you know what? This is actually probably fine. This is probably fine. It's fine for two reasons. Because, first of all, and we've seen this before, 2 Panzer IVs is actually a bit of a force multiplier. 2 Panzer IVs will beat one thing that really ought to beat Panzer IVs. So, like, 2 Panzer IVs will beat an Su-85, 2 Panzer IVs will beat a Jackson, all other things being equal. And so I think 2 Panzer IVs will probably beat a Sherman as well. You know, the Sherman can only be shooting 1 Panzer IV at a time, and if you get, you know, one of the Panzer IVs around the flank and into a place where the turret is not currently rotated to, then that Sherman is in severe jeopardy. Shermans, they pack a real punch, but they are quite squishy for something that's as expensive and punchy as they are. They don't have the most health, they don't have the best armor. So this actually is a real plan, and the second reason I'm happy with this for Pappy O'Daniels is because it's Pappy O'Daniels, and his tank micro just seems to be really good. So, yeah, double Panzer IV here, going to be the choice, and I'm happy to see it. So I think this is probably going to be fine. 378 over 202. PanzerGrenadierAngreifen presently with the 2 cap right now, looking to establish a triple cap. So this is a real game now. This is a real game. This is, like, it's not even. I think Pappy O'Daniels still has a slight advantage, and that is mainly because he has the scoreline and a bit of time to play with here. I think composition-wise, these two armies are pretty evenly matched. Like, just about. I feel like the Axis player is like 1 squad wipe or 1 vehicle loss away from being in a really bad place, though. So I'm hoping that that's not going to happen. Panzer IV is going to be marauding through the countryside here. Stuart forced to respond to this. Where's the Pershing? It needs to react. Pershing is going to be coming in here from the north. And now we're going to have a tank battle. Pershing gets the first shot. Donk doing crippling, well, not crippling, but doing substantial damage to this Panzer IV. Panzer IV is going to be forced to scurry behind the line of sight blocker. Pershing here angling for another shot. He's setting up the spit roast. He wants one of these Panzers to get round the sides of this Sherman. Sorry, this Pershing. Axis infantry beginning to show up for support here. The 50 cal finally gets to the position I said that it should have been in for quite a long time, but it didn't have the arc on these Axis, on these Panzer Grenadiers. It's going to cop an incendiary grenade and die. A lot of Zooks. This is too much fire for 1 Panzer IV. He's going to have to get out of here. Uses the Blitz ability to GTFO in rapid order. The other Panzer IV going to turn, bringing its frontal armor to bear. He needs to get this Panzer IV out of here. Looks like the Pershing. It's a Sherman. Pershing. No, it is a Pershing. They've both got a sh sound in it, which confuses the hell out of me sometimes when I'm casting. But yeah, Pershing here, hunting in the north, going to be looking for Axis squads or anything to kill. Keep an eye on the mini-map. You can see the route it's taking. Whoa, this Panzer IV just kind of coming to a stop here. Okay, the Pershing gonna just withdraw for now. Everything looking a little bit scary. This Panzer IV going to be repairing Panzer Grenadiers with 2 stars of vet and the repair kit going to be repairing quite rapidly. We've got vehicle engineer upgrade coming down on the mechanized regiment HQ as well. So the Axis player is going to have access to some pretty fast repairs, which is important. Definitely, that's the key to an efficient mid and late game. What is this? Additional Fallschirmjägers entering the field. Okay, wow. Oh, getting a nice hit here. The Panzer IV finds a lovely hit, but these rear Esch, no joke, and are able to support their Pershing that they're repairing there with some Zook fire. Remember, Angreifen does have the option of bringing in Rangers with the Zook Expert perk. And right now it's a double cap for Angreifen, 320 for Pappy O'Daniels over the 202 of Angreifen. So Angreifen, these last phases of play, he has been in the ascendancy. And he is closing that score gap. And if you look at the top left, look at the top right. Oh, we've got a Jackson on the queue now. And I think that Jackson is the sort of checkmate of composition here. Because I think these 2 Panzer IVs have a fair hope against just the Pershing with all of the supporting units it has. Really? We're throwing a Panzer IV in to get this Stuart? That seems so risky. He's going to cop a Zook and then an AT grenade, right? How is he just staying here? I don't understand. Yeah, there we go. He's going to reverse. Wow. But yeah, like I was saying, I feel like this Jackson just is going to be like the checkmate for composition here, because the 2 Panzer IVs can just about deal with the Pershing with all of this support. And I mean just about, insofar as like it's thin ice for Pappy O'Daniels, and if he makes one mistake, he stands to lose 1 or more Panzer IVs quite quickly. But with a Jackson here, especially if Angreifen keeps this Jackson back until the Panzer IVs are already committed and then springs it into the fight. Whoa, there are some mines here as well. M5 mines right next to this Panzer IV. Risky times. I think Angreifen sort of gave the game away there. I think if he'd have kept these rear Esch just a little further back, that Panzer IV might have chased the rifleman and ended up hitting the mines. And then the rear Esch could have come in and started pounding it with Zooks. But kind of forcing the Panzer IV away from his own mines there. A little bit awkward, perhaps. But yeah, anyway, so now the Jackson is here, and if he keeps this one back and reveals it only once the Panzer IVs are committed, then he could really punish the Axis player here. Looks like he's just going to reveal the Jackson, though, which I'm not sure I like. The Pershing is way up in the north. Panzer IVs are down here in the south. They are cutting up a lot of American infantry here, so I imagine we'll see... Angreifen is not responding with his armor. I suppose the Pershing is actually busy dealing with Axis infantry. Okay, now the Jackson makes itself known. You really need to set this to prioritize infantry. Prioritize tanks. Wasting shots at infantry is not what a Jackson is for. Kettenwerf are creeping up into this area of the map as well. Actually finding the Pershing. Wow, somehow getting a bounce. Oh, the Pershing, if that hit, I'm sure it would have like gibbed the majority of the crew. Okay, so Stuka Smoke Recon comes down here, buying a little bit of time, screening off the Jackson from this fight, enabling a Panzer IV to come in and make some plays here. Jackson's going to come down, though. Okay, now this is 2 Panzer IVs against a Jackson, with the Pershing not in the fight right now. So immediately Blitz is used on the front Panzer IV. Risky stuff, an offensive Blitz, not a defensive one. And now it's exposed, taking many Zook hits. The Pershing rolls forward. This is a crucial hit here. He doesn't find the shot. It goes instead into the full health Panzer IV. So Pappy O'Daniels just masterfully skirting around death there is probably going to get this limping Panzer IV out of here. And he does. Wow. Wow. I mean, that's all good and well, but is he actually winning the fight? American forces do get onto middle VP. God, this is such a tough situation. Okay, Pappy O'Daniels has all the fuel in the world. He just needs to, like, lose a unit. I actually wouldn't hate if he just loses a Panzer IV and, like, builds a Panther or something. These Panzer IVs are amazing, but he has so much fuel. Or, like, complete the tech tree. Does he have battle grip at HQ? Alright, maybe complete the tech tree and, like, look for... is this a good KT map, though? I don't think it is a good KT map. Trouble is, this map is so big and a KT is so slow. KTs really dominate on smaller maps where their slow speed disadvantage is not as pronounced, but on a map this broad, where the KT can only be in one place at once, I feel like it's actually just not going to be very good. So I feel like what you need right now is Panther. Or Yagdi. You know, I'm Magpie, let's recommend a Yagdi. Okay, so Stuka Smoke Pot's going to come down, enabling these Volks to get up on top of a point and put down some sandbags. Oh, four-man squad of Volks Grenadiers here. Crucially getting wiped out. That is unfortunate for Pappy O'Daniels. Probably the first real mistake we've seen here. Just didn't fall that unit back in time. And, you know, he probably only had like a second or so to respond to that. American DPS, pretty ferocious. Losing a Kettenwerfer as well. So, okay. Losing the Kettenwerfer, I think, is what he needed to lose. Now he can fit a Panther onto his roster. Whoa! Panzer IV getting absolutely spanked by the Jackson. Yeah, this Jackson... And Griffin is microing it relatively well, keeping it in safe positions, never overexposing it. And look, it's just punishing this Axis armor. You need to keep running! Oh no, he's going to lose the Panzer IV. Oh, that's a shame. Just a moment of inattention there. It's going to enable this Jackson to get the kill. Did you see he just stopped here for a moment when what he really needs to do is keep running into the base? But, I mean, now he can replace it with a Panther, but now he's lost Volks Grenadiers, Kettenwerfer, and a Panzer IV in short order, and his American player is still just so strong. And I just wonder if he can ever come back from this. Looks like another squad here going to attempt to salvage the... Or is this a second Kettenwerfer? Oh no, I feel like the wheels have sort of come off the bus here now for Pappy O'Daniels. He's just dealing with such oh my god, yeah, that's... Not the Volks Grenadiers as well. Yeah. Somehow some Fallschirmjägers are out on the map doing stuff, so there is something going okay, but... I mean, he's just lost all of his infantry, and even with the Panther now, there's just not enough here to support. I don't see how you can ever meaningfully regain any map presence now as Pappy O'Daniels. I mean, he has 100 tickets worth of grace here, but I don't think even that's going to be enough. So, yeah, I mean, this one in the pocket now for Angreifen, as long as he doesn't mess up. Panther rumbles forward, somehow not taking a shot. Okay, there it is. So Panther announces itself on the field. Panther's going to flank up to the north here. The Panzer IV is not repaired and is pushing out on the map, so let's get a look at that. Because there's a lot of Zooks on a lot of infantry squads here. You know what? I see, increasingly, I'm noticing the determining factor for American victories in the late game is having Zooks on your infantry. No, it doesn't feel great, because you really want your infantry to be... Oh my goodness me, this Panther is just getting beaten. It's probably about to die to the next Pershing shot. Oh my god, how does it not die? Loses the Panzer IV, loses the Panther here momentarily, and that's game. A worthy and almost heroic effort here by Pappy O'Daniels. But PanzerGrenadierAngreifen demonstrating that American late game compositions, if left to develop into this kind of epic composition, almost unassailable. When you have Jackson, Pershing, Stuart. And the Stuart was a key piece of this composition, even in the late game, because it was just massacring the Axis infantry. And if your infantry is not there to support your tanks as the Axis player, life gets really hard. And the Stuart just means that the infantry, the window where it's actually actively supporting your panzers and not falling back is just so small. And when you combine that with all of the ferocious DPS on the American infantry as well, it just means that the Axis infantry just genuinely has a really difficult time standing around and taking a fight. It just feels like they arrive at the front line, immediately take a face full of explosions and lead, and then have to fall back. And that's just part of what makes this composition so scary. Yeah, I feel like Pappy O'Daniels getting off to a fantastic early game there, really dominating the field. And Griffin had a hard time. He was trailing in the scoreline. I mean, still, look, we've got Pappy O'Daniels leaving the game, still ahead by like a good 80 tickets. So I'm going to question the choices of Panzer IV there. The two Panzer IVs didn't look terrible. I think they both made it to 2 stars. But he chose that first Panzer IV at a time when he knew his opponent was about to get a Pershing. And I just don't know if that's a dynamic that you want to actively seek out as the Axis player. Like, do you really want to sign up for a late game where you are building a Panzer IV into a Pershing? I mean, that's really tough. But it's not impossible. And Pappy O'Daniels, clearly recognizing it's not impossible, goes for it anyway, gets the second Panzer IV, and there's a tiny window where he has 2 Panzer IVs and his opponent has a Pershing, but a smart American player will obviously shore up his roster with a Jackson, and once the Jackson's on the field, like I said, it kind of feels like the checkmate element, because once your opponent has Pershing Jackson and you're invested in 2 Panzer IVs, that's a hellish late game. And the other key factor here, which I've noticed with a lot of American late game compositions, like a key difference maker is the American player actively putting Zooks on, like, not just 1, not just 2, but like lots of infantry squads. And in this game, yeah, he was. Yeah, we've got 2 squads of rear esh with double Zook, we've got Major with Zook, we've got Lieutenant with Zook. And that crucially means that pretty much in any fight where the tanks are trying to take a fight, so the Axis armor is taking on the American armor, in any of those engagements, there's just a lot of stray Zooks being cast into the fight and just kind of turning fights for the American player and kind of forcing the Axis player to be like, wow, this was an armor battle which, if it was just the tanks fighting, I probably was going to take. But I actually can't push around the flanks of these American tanks because there's so many Zook-toting infantry standing around the place. And we even saw a couple of times where the Panzer IVs like found a repairing American tank, took one shot, and if it was just rear esh standing around repairing, then he probably could have chased that tank, or like at least pushed it back a long way, forced it back by attacking it whilst it was repairing. But as it is, the 2 squads of rear esh are just like, oh, you're attacking the tank I'm repairing, have 4 Zooks, and if you want to stay around, you'll have 4 more. And that just makes things very tough. So for all of these reasons, I think that going for the Panzer IV and definitely going for the second Panzer IV, a little bit questionable here. Pappy Daniels is definitely a really good player and he makes masterful use of Panzer IVs, but there's a time and a place for Axis medium tanks, and I'm wondering whether this was it. The other choices, which I was talking about when he got this Schwerpanzer HQ, I was like, you're Pappy Daniels, you have these units, your opponent has those units, you're building your Schwerpanzer HQ, what choice do you go for? And so obviously the choices are Panzer IV, Jagd, or Panther. And having seen how this game plays out and sort of going with my early hunch, I really feel like the Panzer IV is actually the least good of the 3 choices there. This is a map where the central area is relatively open. Like let's pan. So let's pan. So we've got the German spawn behind us. Okay, so we are facing the direction that a prospective Jagdpanzer would probably be facing in this game. Okay, so let's just move the camera down a bit so we can see the lines of sight. So if you've got a Jagdpanzer, you're kind of moving it along these lines, or if it's in mid, you'll be moving it along this line. I mean, this does look pretty open, to be honest. This looks fine for a Jagdpanzer. And Jagdpanzers have the power, they have the penetration. Crucially, they get the rate of fire and penetration, and they have the range. They are very scary. They're also quite cheap. The game does let you build 2 if you really want to, and that is quite scary. I mean, it's not the best, but it is quite scary. If you can get a Jagd and a Panther as well, that's also quite scary. So I feel like a Jagd would have been a totally acceptable choice, and to some extent I feel like I'm a bit of a broken record. I always recommend Jagds, but I genuinely feel like they are underbuilt and really good. I mean, yes, Panzer IVs are much more effective against infantry. Absolutely, that's true. But in this game, did we ever really see the Panzer IVs doing that much crippling damage or pushing back vast swathes of infantry? No, not really, because the infantry was always well supported by tanks, which the Panzer IVs had to be shooting at those instead. And then sort of fairly soon after, all of the infantry had Zooks, so was kind of just pushing the Panzer IVs around anyway. So I just feel like probably save up for a Panther or just go for the Jagd in this game would have been a better choice, rather than building a Panzer IV into a Pershing that's about to have a Jackson. Yeah, I kind of feel like I think that was the critical moment. That was like the critical turning point for me in this game, was the choice of Schwerpanzer HQ unit. And again, it's hard to be too critical because the Panzer IVs did look okay, but I don't think they were good enough. And in a way, I think they're a bit of a death sentence here for Pappy Daniels. So yeah, that's how this game panned out. Oh, actually, you know what? One more noteworthy point. Pershings are really good against infantry. I'm always amazed by this, but that damn shell, more often than not, will give 2 or 3 infantry squad members, and that is a lot to deal with. And we saw in this game that Pershing absolutely wreaking havoc against the Axis infantry. And again, this game probably wouldn't be over, But I mean, losing the 2 Panzer IVs is actually acceptable. Pappy O'Daniel's had enough fuel here to be making like a Panther and probably a Yagdi or something. Like, he could take more fuel choices. But the game is over if you lose the supporting infantry, and that's what happens. You know, just in very short order, he lost Volks, Fallschirmjäger, Kettenwerfers, and that's what ends the game, losing those core infantry, because then the effectiveness of your tanks is just so limited that it's like the game's just over. So yeah, really interesting game, fantastically well played by both players. I was really enjoying that game. Really nice to catch a high-level game between these two guys. I'm going to be off for the rest of the weekend. There's a chance I'll be casting tomorrow, that's Sunday evening. There is a chance that I will be hopping on. I won't live stream it on Twitch because I don't want to compete or be rude or interfere with a tournament that someone else has organised. But I may just try and jump on the live game ladder, cast some of the games and upload them later on. So there's a really good chance that some World Championship games might be appearing on the channel tomorrow evening, it would be. So that'd be Sunday evening, Sunday the 27th. So yeah, thank you very much. That concludes this video. I've had a blast. Thank you guys very much for watching. And this for now, Magpie842 signing out.